I have a really fun and interesting topic for you, the solfeggio frequencies. Originally, I'd learned about them through a friend when I was going through my meditation teacher training, and I hadn't placed a lot of emphasis on it because they often use binaural beats, and I was already into binaural beats, and I thought, okay, well, it's kind of more of the same, whatever. And then something told me to research this. I decided to just do something a little bit different and research these frequencies, and I'm so glad I did. They have a really fascinating history, and I can't wait to share it with you. And I will say, it's interesting that they have their roots in Christianity, but these chants and these frequencies can be used in secular contexts as well. And that's what I personally will use them for when I work with them more, because I am after just doing this research. And so if you've ever chanted, if you've ever participated in a Catholic church service, for example, or even if you've attended a powwow or chanted Om in meditation, basically you're likely to have participated and imbibed in these solfeggio frequencies. It's just so incredible what has come out of this, the idea of healing, DNA repair, all this interesting stuff. But before I delve into that a little bit more, I wanted to share about the history. And so solfeggio frequencies date back actually to the 11th century when this monk named Guido di Arezzo, I think that's how you say it in Italian, he was an Italian Benedictine monk, and he worked with choirs, and he was trying to teach his fellow monks the hymn to St. John the Baptist. And it used to be that they had to memorize these sounds in terms of rote memorization. They didn't know how to sight read music. There wasn't really a system for it. And so Di Arezzo created a 6-note system, each with its own tone, to help the monks remember not only the tones, but be able to read the music later on when they wanted to refer to whatever chant or song they wanted to recall. And so he came up with this system where it was ut instead of do, then re, mi, fa, sol, la. These 6 tones, solfeggio frequencies. Solfege is basically teaching the sol, fa method, because you have the sol and the fa within that 6 tones scale. And later on, it would be that we would add the T and the next do and change ut to do to create the octave. So basically, we're still using Di Arezzo's system today, which is just really interesting to me. If you ever took piano lessons as a kid, your teacher has you doing octave scales to do your warm-ups. That's instantly what I thought of when I was researching this. But yeah, so these monks created this hymn, and the Gregorian monks, as they adopted these different chants and songs, kept using these frequencies throughout the centuries. But in the years and centuries after the solfege was invented, the idea that these frequencies were related to these songs, just somewhere along the line, they were lost. And so the Gregorians kept doing their chants, but nobody ever talked about the solfeggio frequencies again until more recently. Well, interestingly enough, just as a side note, the chants, there were some studies done with the Gregorians, and when they took away their chanting and they just returned to silent prayer in their monasteries, they lost the energy that they used to have. Apparently, when they would chant, it would make it so that they only needed 2 hours of sleep a night. They had good health. They had just vibrance and energy like they had never seen before. And when they took that away as part of a study, these monks just sort of withered. It's just really fascinating. And that provides the impetus, or at least the foundation of the idea that these tones are healing tones. Well, so centuries later, fast forward all the way to the 1970s, when Dr. Joseph Puglio was researching the Bible, actually, the book of Numbers, and he made a startling discovery. In the verses, let's see, 12 through 83, chapter 7, 12 through 83, he discovered that the verses, if he reduced the numbers to their single digits, kind of invoking his inner Pythagoras, he found that they were the solfeggio frequencies. They were repeating threes, sixes, and nines in one instance. They would do fours, ones, and sevens in other instances where they would just be repeating fives, twos, and eights, and so on. That would make up all the solfeggio frequencies. Just super interesting that he just sort of stumbled upon this. And then, you fast forward to now, and people were like, well, if these healed the monks like they did, perhaps just by listening or even resuming these chants, people could heal themselves. And so it is such that now, if you listen to different music with, say, 396 hertz, which is the ut frequency, it's supposed to alleviate feelings of guilt and fear and replace them with courage and joy, and possibly connect you to source energy, help heal your root chakra. Yeah, that's another interesting connection, is that these frequencies are tied to the chakras as well, because there's 7 chakras, and really there's 7 different notes. So if you go do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, you have the 7 notes before you return to do, which is the higher octave of the original do, right? And so that makes total sense, at least to me. The next frequency, re, is 417 hertz, and it's supposed to clear out negative energy, creating space for positive change. You have mi, which invokes physical and mental healing, returns the body to homeostasis. This is the one that's really called the miracle tone, because it's supposed to heal your DNA and allow you to clear out all those blockages that then allow you to connect with your spirit guides. Just so interesting, right? Then fa, the love connection frequency, as I call it. I don't know if I made that up or if I saw that somewhere, but it just kind of sounded appealing. But basically it corresponds with the heart chakra, which is green. It facilitates healing and love, compassion, repairs relationships with yourself, friends, and family alike, promotes tolerance, compassion. What more can you ask? Then you have sol, opens the channels of intuition. So it's connected to the throat and even the third eye chakra, because you're doing these interesting spiritual connections. Helps you to speak your truth, eliminate toxins. Then you have la, helps create communication between the self and spirit, paving the way for spiritual experiences and oneness. And so, my experience with solfeggio frequencies, I don't have a ton. It just seems so appealing because you see these videos out there that say, heal ailments, repair your DNA, eliminate anxiety, bring out your most loving self. And these are kind of tall orders, just really, can you do all that? And I am unable to absolutely confirm that they do this. There's not a ton of research out there. And given that I tend to be intuitive, that's the namesake of my blog, Intuitive and Spiritual, right? But it's because my personality is, I tend to more spirituality, and I am an intuitive, like INFP, right? And yet I still look to scientific knowledge when possible to determine how valid something might be, because the system of, studying, creating hypotheses, things like that is just so well founded that if you can back it up with science, well, it's more likely that that's real. So anyway, there's not a lot of research studies that I've found, but there are a lot more research studies on the binaural beats. And on my blog, you can see there's a link there to a lot of scholarly articles on binaural beats and their benefits, including helping with meditation, creativity, reducing anxiety, that sort of thing. And in my research about this, there is a lot of natural gravitation towards music. Humans have this need to express themselves with music. there's this intuition that we all have, that we gravitate towards this idea that somehow if we listen to something that speaks to our soul, that it can put us in a better mood. It can help us feel better after a terrible day, or even just make us feel closer to source, to spirit. And so I provided in my post on the blog links to different videos with the different frequencies so you can listen as you work, and that's what I usually do. I don't have a ton of experience with solfeggio frequencies yet, but after doing the research for this post, I want to go ahead and try to listen for an hour a day, either while I'm meditating in the mornings. I usually like silence, but for 6 weeks I can try this experiment, and I will come back and update this post and let you know how that goes, what I might feel or what might be different. Hope you enjoyed this. I was thoroughly fascinated. I couldn't wait to share it with you. And if you do solfeggio frequency music, if you listen or if you've had experience with it, I'd love to know either in the comments on YouTube or on my blog. Have a great week.